So I'm here with Martha Sielman, who's the Executive Director of SAQA. She's come from the States to help out, to run the European...
Right.
Tell me what
That's
you're doing
right.
here.
Well, Studio Art Quilt Associates is otherwise known as SAQA or SAQA. And we're here with this very special exhibit called Masters 2, which is based on a book that I wrote called Masters Art Quilts Volume 2.
And a beautiful book it is.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we asked each of the artists in that book, who are all masters of the art form, to send one piece from the book, and that's what the exhibit is here, and they've done a beautiful job of displaying it. It looks absolutely fantastic.
It is fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a walk around the gallery here, and we'll pick out some of our favorite quilts.
That sounds lovely.
Good. So, Martha, when I first came into the gallery last night, this is a piece that really caught my eye. It's absolutely
just
gorgeous.
Stunning.
It is.
It is.
Can you tell us about the artist and
Sure.
about this piece?
Sure. This is by Karin Franzen. She lives in Alaska, and one of her big concerns is about the degradation of the environment. And so she's got a whole series, maybe as many as 16, of these wonderful mating cranes. One of the things that's really unusual about her work, and part of, I think, what makes it so exciting, is all of the layers that she uses. This piece, I think, has 6, and each one is different, and then when you look into it, you feel that you really are gazing across the swamp where these birds are having their mating dance.
And then there was a special fabrication for the cranes.
That's right. These cranes are made of recycled men's suiting, which is not what I would think of to create bird plumage, but boy, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
really
absolutely
works.
beautiful.
Good.
Yeah.
So, after having gone to Australia recently and seeing the SAQA exhibit
yes.
there, I'm also really interested in this piece, which is by an Australian artist, right?
That's right. This is by Margery Goodal, and it's called Waiting for Rain. And what's fascinating to me about it is that when you are from a distance, all you see is the very subtle brown colors. But if you look up close, you can see all these wonderful colors of the plants waiting to burst out from the ground when the rain comes.
That's right. And it's such an intricate, detailed piece,
Oh,
and yet
it's
from a distance
amazing.
it looks more like a texture piece.
That's right. That's right. And I asked her about how she makes the inserts, because they're all different fabrics pieced together, and she said she just lines them all up on her design wall and moves them around until she has exactly what she wants, and then she sews it together and hopes that she doesn't have to unsew it.
Well, it's obviously very precise.
Yeah.
Very creative.
No, it's beautiful.
Good. So this is an autobiographical piece, I hear.
It is. When we first opened this exhibit, Nelda Warkentin, the artist, was actually there, and she talked about her work, and she said it was autobiographical. And when she said that, I was really surprised, because you look at it, and it's very abstract, and you think, well, how is that an autobiography? But what she said is that the colors and the shapes, all done in layers of sheer, are the passion and the excitement that she feels about her life, but that she's very careful about making everything in these grids, because she needs her life to be orderly and to have a structure. And so for her, this is a self-portrait.
Sounds like a process to be emulated for a successful quilter.
Well, she is that. She's on our board, and she's been a successful quilter for many, many years at this point.
So this piece really caught my eye across the room, and it has a very crisp type of image. Can you tell us how the artist created this?
It does have very crisp images, and that's one of the things I often talk about, because this artist, Taffy Brown from New Hampshire, has been using this long before anybody else was doing photo transfer. But it is a photo transfer process. It's just using a different process, the one that architects use to make blueprints, because it only prints in blue.
Okay.
And that's the cyan part.
Right.
And it makes these just amazing images. And then she, like a lot of people working with imagery, plays with reversing them and turning them upside down in order to create these very interesting graphical lines in her work.
And so the red is...
I don't.
painted over the top, maybe?
I don't know exactly how she gets the red because most of her work is in the blues, and they're beautiful
okay.
blues.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
So this piece is by a Korean artist.
that's right. Misik Kim is from Korea, and this piece is just incredible. When I had worked on it for the book, I thought it was this big, and I thought, okay, something hand sewn this big, I can imagine. It isn't, of course. It's huge,
It is.
and it's all handmade. And one of the things I find really interesting is that the materials she used is a much more loosely woven cotton than we have in the U.S., and it really creates a very different look. The light reflects very differently. It more absorbs into the fabric. And this is her version of if a bird were above a mountain looking down on the forest, this is what the bird might see. And it's just beautiful.
It is. And, you know, I thought there was a little whimsy in there, too, sort of tipping the hat to the contemporary quilters. It looks like a bunch of quilt blocks that got thrown up in the air and they all landed randomly.
It may be. Misik does a lot of teaching, and it's a... Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So when I first saw this piece, at first I thought maybe it was one of the modern quilt guild pieces, but it's so huge, I thought, I haven't seen any modern quilts that big, so tell me the rest of the story.
While it has some things in common with the modern quilt guild aesthetic, and as seen in a number of pieces, this is by an artist who's been working in this style for a very long time, named Eleanor McCain, who is actually a pediatrician down in Florida. And what she does is take a basic 9-patch, but then skew it so that some of the parts of the 9-patch are very large and some are very tiny, and that you really have a tremendous sense of movement across her piece because of how she's taken that very basic block and used it as her own. This particular piece is all in greens, and it's part of a series that Eleanor has made about the environment.
So this is a very unusual piece.
Yes, it is. This is a piece by Tim Harding, who lives in Minnesota. And what Tim is known for and has been working with for seems like forever is this wonderful sense of color using silks. And most of us, when we're quilting, we use cottons. And in fact, sometimes we worry, well, maybe I need to use 100% cotton. Well, Tim believes in just silk because it reflects light in a way that cotton just doesn't. And that combined with this incredible color sense in making these pieces, this particular one celebrating autumn, it just creates an amazing surface. What he's doing is putting several layers of the silk, cutting through them, separating them so that you see some of one color, some of another, and then twisting and sewing down the different layers so that all of the different colors play off against each other and create just a sparkling surface.
Well, Martha, I want to thank you again for showing us around this exhibit and telling us about the artists and their pieces.
Well, it's my pleasure. I always enjoy talking about a SAQA exhibition. Thank you so much for asking me.
You're welcome.
Yes.